Well.
So just to get you up to speed, Gina, have you heard of 5D and what it means?
I just read that thing that you
Yeah.
posted. Sorry, I'm trying to turn up the volume here.
Hello? Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the reason why I was bringing it up is there's a few people out there that won't be mentioned. Oh, I'm just kidding. No, I was actually talking about the Twitter people. Half of the Twitter people are feeling that December 21st is basically, if your mentality is in 3D, which we're in, if your mentality is not conforming to 5D, which is the dimension census, you're going to die. So yeah, it's like Y2K all over.
It's
The other
ridiculous.
people are
That,
saying that Ascension is happening December 21st because the Mayan calendar had it on 12/21/12, and they're 8 years different than our Gregorian calendar. So it's technically happening this year when that shift happens. And also the Age of Aquarius starts December 21st. So there's a lot of things happening, the conjunction of the planets, yada yada. So that's why everybody's talking about 5D. And in short,
Okay.
you live in the world of fear, you're living in the world of now. You're living in the world of oneness and love and not really, you know, feeling those scared emotions. You really are shifting. And what Jania had said when we were talking on the phone just a minute ago was that, you know, it already has been shifting. We're all shifting, we're all evolving.
It has been for a
So
while.
exactly. So that's kind of where I was going with it today, aside from my usual call, just for the reason, just to see what you guys are feeling on that, and you know what other people are sensing. You know, some people are saying the two planets are aligning to like the Star of Bethlehem because they're going to be extra bright. They're not going to be extra bright. It's just two planets conjunctioning, but yeah,
that's
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm like Gina is like I haven't really like looked
yeah,
at any of that. I don't really follow those kind of even in the spiritual realm, I don't really follow
yeah,
like people. I'm really curious when I come across this information
yeah,
and stuff. But I remember when the whole Y2K happened,
exactly.
you know, and all that. And I was just like, whoa, there was all this buildup around it. It's really interesting, like how much you knew about it, like the Mayan thing and this and that. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of information. And it
Yeah,
does feel like it's all coming to a head. But I think people are
exactly.
so just stressed out and
Yeah,
hinged up over like the 2020 that then this is just another thing for them to be like,
yeah,
oh no, it's another horrible thing coming our way.
sure.
I think some people, but I
Um,
look at it like as a death of our old self, you know, like what don't we want to take forward any longer? Like I get really irritable very easily. Let's say somebody thinks that, right? Like I want to change like my reaction to things and be calmer and not so stressed out about life and silly little things, you know. That could
yeah,
be a death of that and like letting that go, and that's awesome, that's great. I mean, that's the whole thing
exactly.
about ascending, is it's like death and dying and rebuilding and becoming something else,
hmm
like becoming a different you, a better version of you.
A better
um
version. Yes.
that's the way I look at it. And then I could go ahead and, I mean, I think it'd be great for you to, like, you just sent me and Gina that thing on
hmm
the what everybody's feeling. I saw it really quickly, dizzy, this and that. And I got a lot of
Sure.
hits when I was reading that very quickly, like 1 minute before a meeting.
Mhm.
So if you were to read it, I'd
Yeah.
just tell you what hits I get when I hear some of the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
I looked
sure.
at it and I was like, that's describing pretty much my entire life, how I've always felt.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, like,
Exactly. Yeah.
It
probably
hasn't
We're
just
all.
been this year.
Yeah.
it's
For
not just,
sure.
yeah, it's not just this year. It's like always.
Yeah.
I've always gone through this stuff. So,
For the
mhm.
so to just so to kind of throw it out there, every 800 or so years we shift to another dimension. We're in the third dimension, you know, etc. We're shifting to a fifth dimension now. Um, a third dimension level of consciousness, and Jania, you already know this part, is represents fear, limitations, lack of interconnectedness, suffering, stress, working hard to succeed, and feeling like your time is getting away from you, which is what we all feel. You know, we all feel that. It's like
Mhm.
every single one. Now, 5D is experiencing oneness, radical forgiveness, unconditional love, manifesting quicker, and feeling supported by other energies that are awakening at the same time. So the difference is you're really one with the universe versus not. So going into the physical, These are the things you're going to experience during your shift. Ringing of the ears, because you're attuning to a new frequency. Waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. and understanding that there's a thin veil between the two worlds, the spiritual and the normal world. Dreaming vividly, especially about people dying, having babies, and loved ones calling you from the other side. So that's a big one. Fatigue, you're going to be tired because your human body is trying to adjust to the 5D. Headaches. Your women's cycle shifts more irregular than normal as your bodies fall into a new rhythm. You're dehydrated a lot because your body's working harder to adjust to the new frequency. You have dizziness and shape shifting. You'll see something in front of you and then it'll disappear like it went to another dimension because you're seeing things of the third dimension and fifth dimension, and your eyes are adjusting to the two different vibrations. So you get a lot more clairvoyance going on. You get toothaches and things like that. Your body starts tingling because of electrical charges. Swing in appetite makes you very hungry. You're feeling cold and shivery. Then as far as your mental, you're more emotional because you're cycling over old memories and behaviors versus something new. And your fear and anger and sadness are reflected of not wanting to let go of the past and moving forward to a future. And you feel a lot of homesick of places you've never been to. So those are the different things out there that are pointed out in this shift that, as you said, Jania, has been already happening. So
are you sure you just haven't been taking notes over like the past few weeks about like the things I'm telling you I'm feeling?
we created the 5D network just for you. Everybody's on 5G on Verizon. You're on 5D, you know.
Well, I would like 5Ds, but
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I had a client I was working with, and she's an old soul, but in her early 20s. And she wanted to jump from, she's like, I can barely get out of the third, but I want to go to the sixth. And I'm like, you can't even get to the fourth, and you're freaking out about getting to the fifth. So yeah, I mean, this is real life shit. You know, like you're gonna have real things happen. And when I hear most of those symptoms, yes, I've had some of those too, but it's also what I got earlier, and I was getting the chills and you were talking and I was asking, but it's like people need to get grounded. Meditation. If you wake up between 2 and 4, take advantage of that time and sit there, lay there, whatever, and meditate. Get grounded. If people aren't grounded to the earth, like if they got more, like take your shoes off, go walk in the sand, go walk on the grass, go walk on, you know, get grounded, meditate, bring in the good energy, let go of like what doesn't serve you anymore. And what it sounds like too. And the other day I'm in here, my gym working out, and I started, and I have this is crazy, but I have a fear of death. You know, even though I could talk to people on the other side and stuff like that, I started getting so much anxiety, but I could feel that it wasn't like me, like I wasn't having an anxiety attack. But I've like, now that you're saying this, I'm like, I know what it is now. It was like this, it was like everybody else on the earth, like just feeling this anxiety, like they were going to die. Like that's one of, that's besides public speaking, death, fear of death is like the number one, one of the number one fears. And so I was like, that's what it feels like. Everybody's so scared they're going to die right now. And and then I had to ask myself a couple of weeks ago, what's the worst thing if I did die? Why is that so bad?
That's exactly right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I actually did physically die.
Well, that was the thing about what I was thinking earlier, where many years ago, I would always, and Gina, I've told you this, like if my mom was to go, somebody better find where I'm at because I'm about to go with her, because I don't ever want my mom to go. But now I see death in a whole different way. I see it as they're sending to some kind of energy, something different. And I get jealous of that. I'm sitting there going, well, I want to experience not death, but I want to experience what's coming next. That's exciting. It's like Gina going, hey, I got to ride that new ride again at Great America. I know why Great America's in my head all day, but I got to ride that. And Jania and I are like, well, we're still going over here. We want to go on that ride. Why does she get to go on that cool ride? So I look at it differently than I did before. But one of the things that you mentioned, I was going to ask Gina about that, was meditation being the key thing and grounding. So like, I know, Gina, we talked in different calls in the past as far as things that you're doing. What are you doing differently now since we've had our calls in regards to helping you sort of maneuver with your emotions and everything you're going through with some of these things that we even talked about? What's helping you?
Oh, the grounding really helps. I actually, right before we got on the call, when you said that the things weren't linking up or hooking
Yeah.
up right, I missed all of it because I was standing outside grounding myself.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so
Good.
I do that a lot. The meditation I generally do before I go to sleep.
Mhm.
And so when I wake up, between 2 and 4, which I do all the time, instead of meditating at that point, I actually think back to my last thought so I can remember my dreams and
Yeah.
any interactions I might have had in my dream states,
Mhm.
because that's when I feel I get a lot of information that I don't have in the normal daytime when everything is coming at me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you write it in a journal or a book or something?
No, and I should. I've often thought about it, but I'm too busy thinking about it. Like I'm stuck in my head instead of putting it down on paper. So I even keep a notebook next to the bed, but instead I write in there the things that I'm manifesting.
Yeah.
Everything that I want to do, things like just even from like, I don't know, fixing the shower head to,
Sure.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
great,
Yeah.
though.
like lists on everything, just trying to manifest energy to get these things done. But I also, in that notebook, I keep thinking, oh, I should write down like the dreams and the things so I don't forget them. But for some reason, I just can't. Like I have, or not can't, I haven't.
Sure. Exactly.
Well, I'm getting something for you because like I have like a journal for my dreams, a journal for sometimes like if I'm going to keep track of what I'm eating, a journal for just my thoughts, what if you had just the thought, but I'm getting like really strongly the fact that you get up between 2 and 4, it's a powerful time. And I believe you might get channeled information possibly at that time. Like you said, your mind's in a certain place. It'd be cool to like, just even like, I woke up thinking about a golden cup or something, right? Then 2 days later, you go back and you see that note and you're like, oh my God, I was that, I don't know. I just feel like it's something about it could be pretty magical in your world. If you wrote these things down, because I'm getting that in the morning, you don't necessarily remember them.
Yeah, I don't.
But I
Or
mean, that's
I do for like a certain amount of time and then they're just gone.
Sure.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
I've been doing my digital journal because I have vivid dreams. As a matter of fact, I was telling Jennifer that I had a dream last night about December 21st where I could remember, and this is how vivid my dreams are. And before I tell you my dream, let me ask you both a question. Have you been able to smell scents in your dreams?
I don't think so.
I've
So
never
if you
thought
could,
about it.
if you guys remember, like say something your moms were cooking when you were children and you dream about it, can you smell that kitchen? Can you smell whatever they were cooking or no?
In the dream,
In the dream,
I don't think so.
no.
I can't think of a time that's ever come up.
Yeah, it's interesting because last night I was dreaming I was downtown LA and December 21st hit and there was this mom with a daughter and the daughter was crying because in December 21st, this shift, right? The daughter was crying because the mom was telling her that when it hits the stroke of midnight on December 21st, she can wish for anything and it'll come true. As I mentioned, other races were thinking they got superpowers. The little daughter was like, I wish my daddy was here. And the stroke of midnight, he appeared and she could see her dad. And my ears were ringing so bad. I went to the ground. I was in a parking structure and I was holding my ears at the stroke of midnight because they were hurting. But I started thinking, well, if I could do a wish, I wished I could fly. And the gate closed of the parking structure. So I ran to the guy to tell him, hey, my car's being locked in. And he walked away. So I went over to the ledge to yell at him and I fell, but I started floating. All of a sudden, there's this vendor cooking hot dogs, and the 2 left hot dogs smelled to me like they were already spoiled. So I could smell that. And then I saw a building on fire. So because I got to experience flight, I flew to this building and started pulling people and saving them from the building.
Like a Superman.
Like a Superman, yeah. But then
Did you
these
smell the
guys,
fire too?
Yeah, I could smell the smoke, the fire. Yeah, exactly. But then these guys that were there saw me flying and they've never seen a guy fly before. So the first thing they did is they tried to kidnap me for money because I was the guy that could fly. And here I am going, but I remember the street signs. I know I was going on Hill Street, making a right on 7th when I was flying vividly on 12/21 at midnight, and it was chaos. Some people had power, some people were freaking out. It was like Y2K. But that was my curiosity. So I've been doing, I'll wake up in the morning and write digital notes on my iPad of these things, kind of like a
Yeah.
journal. And then later on, decipher it going, okay, I've always wanted to fly. I already know that. I'm helping people in the dream, but I'm also on vividly remembering certain key points, which the biggest thing was to talk to you guys about shifting and ascension and looking at how you're feeling about these things, because they are important for others to understand. I mean, we're all different, right? You know, we look at things differently, and all three of us here could look at this shift, if any, in whole different perspective. You know, like you said, Gina, you're like, some people are like, whatever, but other people can be going, hey, dude, I'm going to shoot lasers out of my hands on the 21st, you know. But it's interesting. Everybody's talking about ascension. The way I see it is you're really connecting with one love. Everything that we're doing, even doing this call, we're awakening. We're kind of putting ourselves in a state of oneness with everything, you know, with love, with connectivity with each other as energy. But we are not, we're trying to also let go of those things, like Gina trying to let go of fear and heartache and all the stuff that, you know, we've all been going through. So
do you think that in your dream you were actually astral traveling?
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Oh yeah.
What I was
100%.
exactly what I got to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, astroplanar, and you also popped to the future. You popped into a
Yes.
reality that
Mhm.
you popped forward a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, for
you're
sure.
yeah. And you know, the other thing I have to say about the ringing in the ears, because it's come up a couple times,
Yeah.
and this just has come up over the years, but when I get the ringing, is like I've heard in the spiritual, you know, people talking and stuff, that it's like if you could ask angels or guides around you to like fine tune the frequency, so you,
Yep.
because there's a message coming through
Mhm.
that you literally could hear, but you're not used to that dimension,
Exactly.
that it's like you got to retune it so that you can hear, and then all of a sudden it feels like you'll hear whatever the broadcast is that's coming through. There's a message.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
Yeah,
if I was you, freaking superpower guy over there, that's what I would do. I'd be like, oh, gee, 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 like, you know what I mean?
fine tuning it
Change
like
the
a radio.
frequency
Yeah.
so you can hear it, because there's a
Yeah.
huge message. And when you said that ringing, I got this huge, like, wow, there was a
Yeah.
huge message. Woo! I just did a ninja grab.
That's
A
pretty
huge
good. That's
message
pretty
coming
good.
through for you, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like, go with that.
Yeah, the ringing that I've always, and that's exactly what I mean. That is a great view and amazing, because it is a frequency. You're hearing a high pitched sound and you're like turning the radio to get it adjusted. That makes perfect sense. In my past, before you told me this, I've always looked at it, if you know, if I'm working, all of a sudden I start hearing the ringing, I stop everything I do. I close my eyes and I kind of, like when you're upgrading Windows, I know, total nerd guy over here, I let it come in and listen to the message. And as soon as it's done ringing, I'll see something, like I'll think, like, to be silly, intuition. And I was like, okay, ringing came in and told me to think about intuition right now. Why? What am I thinking of intuition? And then I go with it. But I like what you said, because it makes sense. It is a frequency, and that makes perfect sense, you know, when it comes to fine tuning that frequency and listening and letting that message come through. That's important.
I also asked to have my psychic energy balanced in the best and highest good for me at that moment in time. Because there's sometimes, like, if I'm not grounded, right, then I might feel like all these like energies coming in and it's too much and I can't handle it. So
Exactly.
but there's times where I can handle that frequency energy because I'm super like grounded and balanced. Do you see what I'm saying? So some
Exactly.
days I can handle more psychic ability in different areas, and sometimes it's just too much. And so I deal with a lot of healers and psychics myself, and the energy work that I do with them. And so they come in sometimes scrambled because they're such an empath. They feel everybody's stuff. It's like they need to ask the universe to turn that frequency down. It's just too much at that point. Not to take it away, because I've done that when I was a kid. I was so scared of the other side and things I couldn't see. I asked, just take it away. I don't even want to have any psychic powers. You know what I mean? So we got to watch what we ask for also.
It's funny that you say that, because this is how when we always work together, we get so in tune. I was just going to ask you guys this question before Jania started that message that she was passing on. I was going to say, how would you feel about telling others who feel this empath, who feel like an empath, who feel like, okay, I'm getting hit to something, but I think I'm scared of the messages, and it is a curse rather than a gift? What do you tell people like that? And I know, Gina, you had in the beginning told me that, you were always sensing things. Yeah.
I was always turning it off. It's because, the people around me tended, like, instead of me listening to myself, I tended to let them influence what I did. So if their fear of it made me feel uncomfortable, I would turn it off. And it didn't help me to understand it or learn how to live and deal with it.
Sure. Yeah.
But you also have to ask yourself, is this you or is it somebody else? Because a lot of times when people think that they're empaths, they are.
Sure. Yeah, everybody's got something.
But they tend to blame everything on everybody else instead of owning what is theirs. And you have to own what's yours in order to work through all the rest of it and be able to let go of all of it.
Yeah, I agree.
And also these people that are all, I want to have my superpower, like, whatever. That's great. That's awesome. I have a gun around here somewhere. I was going to, like, a little laser gun. But I wanted to shoot it off when I said that. I was like, wow. But the thing is are they doing their work? Because you don't just get to wake up the next day with your little, like, laser gun unless you have done your work. Have you been sitting around eating bonbons and, like Gina just said, not owning your shit? Like, that's the thing, is like owning your shit as it happens. Like, even when you get in an argument or a fight with somebody or whatever, disagreement, and there's only 1% that's your side, own that 1%. Don't worry if they are going to own the 99%. Take care of you, do your thing, do your work. And if you can do that, and then your whole life changes. You know what I mean? Like, another thing that's going to start happening is people are going to not be hanging out with the same people anymore. That's another death of letting a friendship go, or a family member or somebody toxic in their life that just wasn't, even if it's a client, if we own our businesses and we have clients, whatever it is, whatever doesn't serve us in the best and highest good anymore is going to be gone. And it's not going to all happen in a snap of a finger overnight, especially those people that haven't done their work. It's like, get to work, do your work. There's so much work to do. I get clients coming in and I'm like, there's a lot of homework coming through for you. Are you ready for this? Because it's going to change your reality and your world. I had a bunch of work I had to do 5 years ago, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't know I was going to not have my soulmate anymore, divorced after 16 years, get a foreclosed house, go into bankruptcy. I felt like I was going to die. I felt at that point that I died and got reborn.
You were done. Exactly. Yeah.
And I was like, but the universe was helping me. I asked to be fully step into my power. And whoa, did I get it? I had to release that whole world. That whole world had to die. And I had to literally go into a crumbling mess for me and see everything just get vanished, the chance of having kids, everything. It was just like blew up in my face. And it took me time, but I'm like, this is happening for a good reason. Like, I need that life it was time for it to go, even though it felt like, oh, it's a soulmate. No, it was time to go. That life wasn't serving me any longer. And I wanted something more. And I had gone on a really big spiritual journey, and I was getting farther and farther from my partner at that time, and my husband, it wasn't working anymore. And, but so see, I could have been all wham about it, but I was like, and don't get me wrong, I did have wham moments, but I realized that I asked for that and I had to do the work.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see a phoenix over you, like a big.
What's that?
That was like your phoenix moment. You're like, yeah.
It was big. It was huge. That was the hardest thing I ever had to do, was to leave my soulmate that I was still totally in love with, and he was with me. But it was the best decision I ever made, because now where I'm at, and it's taken me, it was a journey, 5-year journey that I'm finally feeling like I'm, exactly, like you just said, the Phoenix moment, you know?
And I see that as well in the way of what I mean, you said the story the best is that everything has to literally, as you mentioned, crumble to the ground. And Gina, you said it, rise from the flames as a phoenix and get your foundation built sturdy, which is what you did. You got your new foundation, you got your new path, and there it is. And you're a whole different person than you were then. You know, yeah, there probably parts you miss of your life, of course, but the new you is leaps and bounds more stronger and better than the you that you were then. You know, that's impressive to hear that story.
You're just vibrating at a higher frequency now.
You just said it right there. It's the vibration of the new frequency. Yeah, for sure. That's impressive. That is very impressive.
So this is all supposed to happen on the 21st.
Yeah, the 21st is when everything aligns to that, and the ascension does its completion of shift. It started end of last year to this year, but it was really funny because they were saying that the Aztecs and the Mayans are off between our Gregorian, right? That's the right word, Gregorian calendar versus their calendar. They said it was, the Mayans said 12/21/12 is the shift, but they're 8 years difference in our calendar. So it really happens on the 20th.
What's your, I'd like to know your take
Right.
is, because you're like so tight with the Mayans, what's your hit on the whole Mayan calendar, like that whole, because I mean, I don't follow them.
Yeah. So the Mayan calendar, when it was created, it was really created from a point, a kind of a beginning point of theirs. But then when we, as our culture began, we created our own methodology of telling time. You know, whether it was the time of, you know, shifting forward, shifting back, whether it was shifting because of whatever we were doing, farm work, yada, yada, whatever. The Aztecs and the Mayans had a calendar that was already shifted and created for millennia ahead. They were future tellers. They were, you know, as you guys already know, that is, they had their culture already preset of what was going to be happening because they aligned with the planets and they aligned with the stars. Our calendar doesn't do that. So their calendar really said on 2012, this is what's going to happen. And then nothing happened. And everybody was like, I call bullshit. But if you look at the way it's aligned with our calendar, it hits on 2020. So it's a year difference. Now the Aztecs are like, screw you both. It's 9 years ahead. It actually happens in 2021.
Oh God.
You know, 12/21/21. So whatever, right? Everybody's got their own view on it, but also December 21st being winter solstice. And the age of Aquarius is starting. All those different, you know, things are also happening at the exact same time. So there's a lot of connection with it. So you asked me about the Mayans. They've been like, I don't know if it's because I'm moving the office or whatever, but they've been walking around here more than one. And I mean, I see one, and as I told you guys, I see one of the Mayans always here of the 7. But the other day, you know, I'm walking around the corner, there he is, and I walk the other corner, and there's the other one, and I walk in my office, and there's one standing over my computer, and I'm sitting there going, what the hell is going on? And either they're going, dude, what's going on? Where are we going to? Are we going to Denny's or what's up? Because it's like they're moving around. Or could it be, as they put it in the document that I sent you guys, is the veil thinning, that realm and my realm are interacting with each other more, and they're all going, there's something happening, you know.
Well, are you going to ask them or what?
Oh no, yeah, that's something that I wanted to do, you know, do a session where we talk
I
to
would know. What's up, people? What are we
Got here.
exactly, you know, that. Well, Jania, you remember when we were having that session and I told you that they looked like they had spears?
Yeah.
Towards me, but then the other clan showed up, and it was like they connected me with that clan, and we all merged into one massive race. That was a, you know, I'm going to use the word because it keeps coming all day today. That is a connection of all the different things intertwining into one sphere. So whether it's a junction of 3D, 5D merge, or different energies or dimensions merging, it's definitely showing a, you know, a collusion of things together. I'm using the wrong word, by the way. But
I don't know, it sounded really fancy though.
I know it sounded fancy, right? but it's definitely something. I guess my take to everybody is not fear that on the 21st death is here. It's like it's an evolution, it's a transition.
It's a celebration.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a celebration.
transition. Yeah.
Somebody said that after the 21st, when you go to the age of Aquarius, you're gonna start seeing more and more things. So to be silly, this is totally silly. To be silly, Gina's driving on the road in Fresno, talking to me on the phone, and all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, there's another one. Oh, what's up? Another UFO just went by." That's so crazy that a year later, here we are, just like no big deal. Here, just the new one just flew by, and we don't really care about it because we've been accustomed to now seeing these things. I mean, you guys saw the article that came out that the Israelis said that the aliens are already among us, but they don't want to show their faces because we're not ready as humans, you know. Whatever's going to happen, I think there's a lot of things opening and awakening that now it's the time for all these things to come out. And like I said in that example, we're not even gonna phase on it. To us, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Hey, the Mayan just showed up. He was at McDonald's on his drive-through. He was in his little carriage, you know, getting some French fries.
Exactly. You know, what's funny is that I am an Aquarian. So the whole age of Aquarius, you know, I don't know much about that. Do
Yeah.
you, Israel or Gina?
Gina, maybe?
Not about the age.
Yeah, either do I. I mean, I remember the song Age of, you know what I mean, Aquarius,
It
but
makes me think that they released that at the wrong year if it's coming up now.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to warn us. They were trying to prepare us that long ago, right?
Yeah.
Just like the Mayans and everything. I think that this is, I mean, this has been like, this is how it always was going to be happening, you know? And so it's just like, let's set out little pieces right now, you know, like the alien talk. Let's show our UFOs here and there a little bit to get people acclimated to seeing this and not freak out. And then people start learning about it, getting groups and talking about it. And then, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you said, is to get everybody ramped up that, oh, there's a little alien ship going by. Oh, cool. You know, like big deal.
So I had a teacher that saw them all the time. I had a school teacher. I think she was my third grade. I can't remember. Anyway, she saw them and she swore it. She was like, yeah, and she has this big story about it. She passed away, but anyway, so yeah, they've been seen for years.
So this is interesting. Two very important points I think you guys will appreciate, especially Eugenia with Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is not part of astronomy. It's an astrological age, which occurs of the alignment of the Earth equinoxes, which sets the shift of the polar star over time. It happens every 25,800 years in 12 constellations. That's funny that it's 12, like our clock. So every 2150 or 2,150 years, the sun's position aligns with that equinox and creates the new zodiac. But the cool thing about it that I was mentioning was, from an astronomical point of view, it's saying on here, it says at that point in time, which happens this 21st, since the 1930s, all constellations are aligned in a astronomical perspective to that zodiac sign in the sky. So you've got your zodiac sign, and all the planets are aligning to each of the points of the constellations to the zodiac chart. So Aquarius goes all about alignment, which is pretty neat. And everybody talking about, I don't know if you heard about they keep calling it the Star of Bethlehem, but all it is a conjunction of two planets, Jania, happening at sunset. The two planets are going to align next to each other, and they'll make it look brighter because of the brightness of both stars. That hasn't happened since as they call it, the Star of Bethlehem era.
Oh, when Jesus was
that
whole time? Really?
Yeah, so it's happening again now on the 21st as well. So people are going, hey, we're going to see the North Star, some people call it, or the Star of Bethlehem, because it's going to be extra bright at sunset. Yeah, that's awesome. But all of those things, it just goes to alignment. But if we're telling somebody who's scared of what's going to happen, is really just, get your shit together, get aligned, get your balances going. the yin and the yang, and and look at the new year coming up with all the craziness we've had this year. Look at it to a point of balance. Start fresh with everything aligning, that things are aligning for you, and look at the positive, that it's going to be a good thing going forward than looking back. That's
So
the way
that
I
actually
see it.
lands, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
On the
So that actually lands on the 21st as well, exactly that day.
Yes.
Now, what did they bring for Jesus? Frankincense, myrrh, and what? Gold?
I
What are-
think I'll tell you right now. Let's find out.
Well, I'm just kidding because I'm really into essential oils. Like I've got I'm gonna have all those. I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
Jesus is one of the deities that comes through for me, like really strong. I mean, a lot of different deities come through, but Mother Mary, Jesus, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, those are like my top peeps that come through. So it's really interesting, that this is all happening. So
You
glad
hit
to hear that.
Yeah, you hit it dead on. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh were the three that were
Okay.
given as the gift of that.
Where I'm gonna wear gold that day. And I'm
Yeah,
gonna
so
have
that's
frankincense and myrrh on me.
Actually, I have frankincense and myrrh incense.
I have
Exactly, right?
frankenberries.
So I say that's what I would do as like a healer coming through, and like, what do you do on that day, right? These like little rituals that you can do, light candles, ground yourself, make sure to like make the best of it, that whole day, that whole time.
So that's a great thing. I have frankenberries.
Whatever. Frankie something. I mean, I'm not judging. Why not?
You said it the best. I think people are going to ask, well, what do I do that day? And you hit it dead on. I think the things that you mentioned are a really good thing. Light some candles, all of that.
White candles.
White candles,
White
exactly.
Candles.
White
Walk
candles.
barefoot, get grounded. Ask for just, the universe, even if you don't know, just like, hey, universe, if you're into Jesus or Mother Mary, or like whoever your deity is that you talk to, our angels, please just come and like pull off anything that doesn't serve me. I believe that at that day, we're going to be able to get rid of a lot of, like, let go of, I should say, a lot of resentment, a lot of fear, a lot of anger, a lot of rejection, like any of that stuff that comes up, just like go, okay, from my childhood, I remember I just resent my whatever for that. Like ask for forgiveness, let go of it, even if you don't feel like, I just feel like chunks of stuff will come off of us that we don't have to work so hard to like let go of. That's another thing, guys, right? Like, instead of doing all this energy work I normally do, that day can be just like an easier, breezier, because I've already opened up that vortex in my being to want that, and now I think that we get gifted that day too, is like, here I am, the universe is actually taking away a bunch of karma that I've like built up, and I can just let go of it now, and I don't have to sit around and talk about my woes all the time. When I was little, feeling sorry for myself or victim, it's just like, let it go, be done with it already.
Yeah, that's impressive.
It's not just for this life, it's for the past ones and your parents, ancestors, all the stuff that's handed down and tied to us energetically. I believe we can let go of all of it.
Oh yeah. Well, you nailed it right there. When people come in for an energy session, it doesn't matter if their loved one has passed over, if they're still in this plane with us. The fact is when you do an energy healing, let's say for your mommy or daddy issues, whatever they might be, when you heal yourself from those situations, your mom and dad got a healing too, whether they be on the other side, and I can see them, their light gets brighter. And a lot of people on the other side have actually thanked that person that's doing the energy work, because they're like, oh my God, you just freed my soul up so much right there by like having that healing for yourself that actually healed me too. So you're right, past lives, ancestors, lifetimes, and people that you might have little things going on with right now.
You want to know something, Gina, and I think you'll appreciate this, is how you were talking about, it's a while ago, we talked about solar flares and we like the northern lights and things like that. You notice on the news that the northern lights have moved down this week.
I haven't been seeing.
Oh yeah, so basically we have a huge solar flare that hit, so everything moved down. All the northern states are seeing the northern lights in the United States. So I'm reading an article right here that just said on December 21st, most of the northern states of the United States, as well as most of Canada, will be seeing the biggest northern lights ever seen.
Wow.
So
road trip, guys?
That's a trip. That is a trip. So interesting. That is very interesting. No, I like what you guys said. I mean, so as far as people saying, are we gonna die? Not to sound crazy, but you're not gonna die.
Unless you want to. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the interesting thing, because like in the very beginning of the year with the whole COVID, I saw a vision that came through and it was bigger than COVID, but I'm like, oh my God, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to die this year. It's weird. And I didn't know about this whole thing, but there's going to be a lot of people that are going to die this year just because they were already ready to. There's going to be a lot of people getting new illnesses and get sick and die because they're just are done. And then there's going to be a lot of people that are really going to blossom in this year and take some of these woes that have happened in 2020 that we've all had to go through, and actually celebrate it and make it into something positive. So, and if you do want to like leave this planet or whatever, then that's okay too. But
So
if you don't step up,
Yeah.
there's work to do.
No, so this is it's good knowledge, especially from 3 different point of views of what's gonna happen, because again, there's not gonna be like you said, Jania, you said it best right there. It's learning of everything you're letting go. And if like you said, if you got to get off this planet, then you get off this planet. But really, it's more of an alignment, an awakening, and a rebalance of your life. We're rebalancing, we're adjusting, we're fine tuning what the new thing is going to be, and with everything aligning, everything connecting in different aspects of history, which is really neat, by the way, that date being so that I had a dream. I won't go too deep into it, I'll tell you guys later, but in short, the dream was that it was either December 21st or 23rd. I was calling Jennifer because people were coming to your houses, like say you, Gina, banging on your door and taking your temperature. And if you were a certain temperature, they would stamp you and then they would take you away due to COVID. And they were doing this to little kids. They were taking one of my kids away. The other one was fighting the cops, and it was chaos all over the world. People were going crazy. And it was funny because I locked myself in a room, and all of a sudden my Alexa kicks in, and it's like, the date is, and it was either the 21st or the 23rd, and it kept repeating and repeating. And I kept telling her to shut up. And then I woke up. But I had told Jen this a couple of weeks ago about that. I was like, I had this crazy dream. Then all these things are happening on the 21st, which is really everything is coming to an intersection, which is that whatever that pivot point. But in reality, as we all talked about, it's a shift. It's a shift for the better. It's a shift on every level: astronomical, astrological, alignments of planets, whatever you want to see it. But like you said, it's speaking to your deity and really taking the steps, as you guys mentioned, Eugene. I know the white candles, the balance, and all of that is things that we all need to do.
Owning it, owning your shit.
Owning it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's really it.
Mhm.
Cool.